Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to Occult Cat TV, home of the cool cat as well. You guys can call me Atanu or O'Shea. So, let's get into business. What is the one thing that you need to become a successful occultist, a successful shaman, a successful witch, and as well a successful magician? So, before I get into that, I at least just want to talk about a little bit about the path. So, when we are walking the occult, there are so many pitfalls when it comes to maybe reading the wrong grimoire, working with the wrong energies from a grimoire, right? As well, it can be said along the lines that when we start to do all these things that are actually detrimental to us, but we think that they're positive, this is why the occult is so hidden. This is why it's so hard to understand. Because when you start to go through initiations, what this does is break down your ego, right? It's killing you. It's supposed to kill you off, not as an individual, but as a persona. These trials, these initiations, whether you work with Lucifer, Hecate, Thoth, Horus, Shiva, Kali, right? It's these initiations that the main goal, what they are trying to accomplish, what they're trying to do, we can see within the symbolism of Kali and Shiva, right? So Kali goes crazy, Durga sends a war aspect, that is Kali. Kali goes all bloodthirsty, right? She's in a war mode, a primal state. How does Shiva calm her down? How does Shiva get her to snap out of that state? He lays under her. He says, you can destroy me. You can walk on me. I do not care because I love you. The Kali, the Shakti energy. He knew exactly what to do because that was his trial. If you are masculine, are you able to coax your feminine? Are you able to show her that you have no ego? Just like Shiva did when he was standing as Kali stood over him, towering over him, ready to destroy him. Right? We must be as Shiva when we are along our path. For Kali, the Dark Mother, the Dark Mother is always trying to destroy us, destroy not us, but our ego. She's trying to get us to dissolve the illusion in which we perceive ourselves to be. Because when we walk along this path, at some point we realize through our trials, through events orchestrated in our life, that we are not our ego. We are not who we perceived ourselves to be. We are not the persona. We are not the body. We are not the mind. We are that which lies behind. So in order to be a successful occultist, a successful shaman, a successful witch, the one thing which we must do is dissolve. Dissolve what? Dissolve our ego, our sense of self, who we perceived ourselves to be. Because when you grow up, or the ego is so susceptible to being programmed that as we were once children, right? Children have immense light. They have immense imagination, character to them. But it's not illusory because they're fresh from source. They're fresh from the spiritual plane. So they still have all the energies. They still have everything that makes them a soul. Whereas as we spend time here, the body or the ego is encapsulated to the body. So you're not your body, right? You just chose to incarnate into this vessel and take upon this body, this cloak, this armor, this vessel, right? And as you chose to take on this vessel, this body, you chose to take along with it everything that comes with it. So you have the ego attached to it. We all have an ego that is, in a sense, programmed by society, that the more that we live in this world, in this matrix, it starts to take away our light. That's because the ego starts to be fed through it. The ego is the beast. The ego, they talk about how Elon Musk wants to put a chip in your brain, right? The chip that's already in your brain from the Anunnaki or from the beings that created our body is the ego. Do you notice how much the ego runs your life when you are not aware of it, when you are not conscious of it, just as the shadow? If you do not make these things conscious, if you do not bring darkness to light, then you will not have control of it. Like they used to say in Christian times, if you don't have the name of the demon, or if you have the name of the demon, then you have power over it, right? So it's the same with the ego. Once you know it, once you know what it's doing, same with the shadow, once you know what it's doing, how it's playing out these programmings, then that's when you can start to be conscious. This is what being aware is. Being aware is choosing to make the decisions that you desire based off your outcome. Based off, and this ties into discipline, right? Because if you're not disciplined and you try to achieve a fixed result and your ego gets in the way, what this will start to do is leading you away from your path, leading you astray, right? Because the ego's in here. The ego's right here. It is what's telling you to do this, say that. And then, later on in the day, you'd be like, why did I say that? Why did I do that? I really didn't mean to say that to this person. It's because we're strung out everywhere. We're pulled in every direction. Especially when we're trying to understand ourselves. And what this does is the ego acts as a gatekeeper to our subconscious mind and as well to our awareness. So what we believe and what we can perceive can only be to the point that our ego allows us to, if we have not dissolved it. This is why ego dissolution is the most important thing to a practitioner of the occult, to a practitioner of magic, to a shaman, to a witch. Why? Because the moment that you dissolve your ego, this is actually where all the magic comes from. As we walk our journey, as we walk our path, there's so many pitfalls for the ego to get caught in, to get encapsulated in, such as worshiping spirits. Even when you know your own divinity, you're still worshiping a spirit and giving it all your energy instead of it giving you its energy. It's because of what you perceive yourself to be. If you perceive yourself to be just a lowly human, Abaddon's talking to me? People treat these spirits to the point that they are undermining themselves, not because of the spirit, but because of the way that they treat themselves. And then these spirits will do the same thing to you. So this is why by dissolving your ego, you no longer have a filter to the spirit realm, to what spirits are telling you. You are no longer projecting your ego into your rituals, into your meditations, but instead you are choosing to bypass it, to go behind the ego, to see what's inside, right? And we can only do this from dissolving our ego. And the moment that our ego is dissolved, we start to see through it. We understand that it's illusory, right? Whereas it once had hold over us, where it once had hold over our being, we now see that it is just a hologram, right? Because when you feel crazy, when you feel like you're going crazy, right? Like if you ever just felt so fucking angry or frustrated, like in your mind, you're like, you're like you're just going, you're just like go like just so much in that moment, or just what you're going through, right? That thing that makes you want to freak out, that makes you want to ruin your life and destroy everything, or like think so negatively and so bad about yourself, is the ego. It's what's preventing you from positive thinking. It's what's preventing you from following your path. The ego will constantly get in the way, get in the way, get in the way. It will distract you. It will pull you this way. It will pull you that way. Oh, we need more of this. We need that today, right? But the thing is, as Rene Descartes said, all of men's problem are because they can't sit still. They can't sit still in a silent room by themselves. And he's not wrong. Because that's the ego. The ego always wants to do something, do something, do something. Even if it's detrimental to your health, your growth, your ascension. Right? Because the ego is designed to keep you encapsulated within the body. To keep you thinking that you are the body. To keep you thinking that you are it. This is why we dissolve our ego. To go outside of our ego, to observe ourselves, right? See yourself behind yourself. And then from observing yourself, this is how you can detach from your ego. And the moment that you detach, you realize you no longer are it. And if you are not your ego, then it's not controlling you. It has no control over you. It has no hold. It has no grasp. But instead, it now understands what it is. That it's not you, right? It's a realization that you and your ego have at the same time. Because from the moment that you perceived yourself to be the ego, you latched onto it. It's just like having a girlfriend or a lover, right? The moment that we perceive that they are our lover, we attach to them to not part until we, maybe break up. And then it's in that breakup we realize that we're not them. We don't own them. That the core of it all is that experience, such as a breakup, right? It's actually designed to teach you ego death. I want to say that a breakup for me was actually probably one of the first forms of heavy, intense ego deaths, because it triggered 9 months of depression. And that's because I couldn't see it, right? So if you perceive it and you can dissolve your ego, then all of these lessons that you feel that you have to learn, you no longer have to learn, because you see through them. You see through the illusions. This is why so many people are led astray. They're just led around to do everything, like just, drink at bars their whole life. Just do all these things that aren't serving them because they're just coaxing their ego. They're just doing what their ego always wants to do instead of dissolving it, going within, to look at their source, their true potential, and as well with that, who they're meant to become. The ego is what limits you. In order to do magic, we have to dissolve our ego. This is the main thing that's needed in order to do magic. The more that your ego is dissolved, the more that you can believe your magic and believe in yourself and what you can achieve. This is the magic. It's all about not destroying your ego, but dissolving it. The ego is a holographic matrix. It's software within the hardware that is the body, right? So it's all about reprogramming the ego. And from reprogramming it, that's how we dissolve it. Because the ego feeds off illusions. So the more illusions that you give yourself, the more it has power over you. But the thing is that truth dissolves illusions. So when you start to go within to see your truths, the epiphanies in which you see start to dissolve your ego, because it can't no longer latch on to you, because when you are shown that you are not your ego, that you are everything and the all, that you lie beyond the ego, then it has to start accepting that reality. Maybe you don't believe that you are powerful. You don't believe that you can perform or do magic, right? That is the ego. You don't believe you can meditate? Ego. I don't work out. Ego. You don't do things that better yourself? I don't eat healthy. Ego. I only drink soda. Ego. Why soda over water? You just want a taste? You just want something that tastes better instead of something that will actually heal you. That is the ego. So it's not until we dissolve it that we can truly understand the path that we're walking, that we can even do magic. Because in order to do magic, we go into ritual, right? The theme, the circle, the triangle, all the conjuring, all of this is to just coax the ego, to make it believe in a reality that's already there, right? When we go into ritual, what it's doing is allowing us through the physicality and observation, maybe a sigil, to then go into our subconscious mind. And then what we're trying to do is drop the intention not into our conscious mind or awareness, but drop that into the subconscious mind. And then from the subconscious mind, it's just like a tree, right? It's just like a plant. You don't just drop the seed on the top and then hope that it grows, right? No, you have to get the seed, the idea, and plant it deep within yourself. So, such as the seed of dissolving your ego. If you want to plant that seed, you have to go into a slight meditation or trance. And then it's all using your frequency and your vibration that you can bypass the ego. And this is actually what trance state is. Maybe in trance, you've not forgot yourself, but in a sense, like, forget how you were normally thinking, right? That's because what you're doing is bypassing your ego, dissolving it for those moments, allowing another being, say if you're invoking Lucifer, allowing another being, a higher vibration than you, to come into you. And what it starts to do is transduce the ego. It starts to dissolve the ego using the vibrations and using the frequencies. This is why invocation is so powerful in propelling propelling your life forward, in progressing, because what it does is it activates certain triggers for you to, in a sense, receive certain understandings. And then from that, the electricity of Lucifer, the electricity of the Kundalini, is actually what dissolves the ego. Right? So when this jolt of electricity, when this jolt of energy is being ran through us, that's why the Kundalini can feel so uncomfortable. It can create images and create colors. It can create all this energy, right? That energy pushes through our energetic system, dissolving our chakras, dissolving our third eye, you could say, merging all the chakras into one. The thing is, in order to perceive this and even be able to do it, you have to have let go of the concept of chakras. We study them, we embrace them, we understand them in order to unlock them. From unlocking them and empowering them, we then dissolve them. This energetic current that is streamed through our mind's eye, through our third eye, it has so much pressure, right? Or people get headaches because what it's doing is dissolving your ego. It's dissolving the limitations of yourself. And that can feel physical because even the soul has weight to it. So this shows that the ego has weight. So once we dissolve that weight, we no longer have that pressure on our back telling us we can't do this, telling us magic doesn't exist, limiting us. We no longer have these energies. That's why when you've dissolved your ego and went into yourself, it is a chamber of the mind. It's a room or a temple, and you understand that you don't allow things into your mind that you do not desire. When you haven't dissolved the ego, then you can't astral project. You can't go into your astral temple. You can't do these higher dimensional abilities or have this higher dimensional awareness because you are still encapsulated into the human, into the ego, into this being, not realizing, or you will realize that once you remove your ego, you are everything and the all. So you can invoke Lucifer, you can invoke Hecate, you can invoke Thoth, Horus, elementals, Jinn. You can invoke anything because you realize you're not your ego, but instead you are everything and the all. And with that, guys, I hope you have a beautiful day. This is Occult Cat TV. I'm your host, O'Shea. As well, you can call me Atanu or Cool Cat. Namaste, my friends. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Look forward to more content in the future. And I'll be making a video on my introductions and working with Lucifer. And how this ties into, dissolving the ego, and I'm also going to be putting a video on my Patreon about how you can dissolve the ego and why you need to do that to work with spirits, to work with the Cliffoth or Lucifer, Hecate, as well ego dissolution in magic, spell work. I go more in depth, and that will be a Patreon video. And with that, guys, I hope you have a beautiful day. Namaste. Peace. I'm out.